If you are watching this video, then you must be a very wealthy person because this costs 7,000 ringgit. This is the Honor Magic V5 Honor's 2025 latest foldable, and I pretty much just want to say right out the bat that they've done a bang up job making a really great foldable, and it's also the thinnest one yet. This is probably the thinnest, one of the thinnest foldables in the market, and any more allowance of trying to reduce this thinness even further, we're really going to lose that USB-C port, and that's not what I'm mentally prepared to lose. So stop reducing the thinness on a enough is enough. Good job, good job. Today we're going to be addressing whether this is a suitable foldable for you because, you know, the time of foldables has come. Everyone's getting thinner, everyone's getting wiser and stronger in specs, and Honor is this time around not backing down because they've given us a full range of hardware improvements while maintaining the retail price. So that it only comes in one variant, 16 gigs, 512 gigs for 6,999 ringgit, which is the same price as the Honor V3. So without any price increase, this is generally a no-brainer level of upgrades that really justify the use case of people picking up foldables, making this the ideal time, right? I mean, this is a flagship after all. A Snapdragon 8 Elite, AMOLED panels, a very competent set of cameras, and fast charging, and the kicker here is a high capacity battery, 5,820 milliamps, silicon carbon, much higher density than any other traditional batteries for smartphones in the market. These have very thin batteries packed inside, and they managed to keep it in there while having the thinnest form factor that I could see on a foldable right now. And I just can't stop talking about it in that way. I love the color, I love the design this time around. It looks extremely premium. This is their hero color, which is the Dawn Gold, and it's got a very nice, interesting cascading contrast gradient that you can see when you just show it out in broad daylight. Like from the top there, it's a little dark and it gets much brighter when it goes towards the bottom. So it kind of signifies like a very expensive sunset, if that makes sense. Honor's taken also every other precautionary measure to make this one of the most durable foldables ever. So this is using their latest Honor Super Steel Hinge, which really sounds like a superpower. But yes, this Super Steel Hinge is very, very strong. And the lattice that's built inside there, much more reinforced in just smarter ways. It's not like they just shoved more metal inside and call it a day, because this is not heavy at all. This is just about what, 200 grams. It's also a very light foldable. To make that last for years to come, when you start flexing this hinge over and over again, I would say it's a pretty good feat of engineering, and I don't know whether this sets the bar where they have to do even better next year. It's also able to handle lots of water, submersion, and dust because it has an IP58 plus IP59 rating, meaning if you accidentally drop this into a pool of water, you can still pick it up and just use it as per normal without having to worry about just, you know, the phone getting spoiled. There are other concerns as well, such as the outer and inner screens, their durability, and whether they could last for years to come, because foldables are very sensitive creatures when it comes to screen. So on the outer screen, they're using their latest anti-scratch nano glass tech, and inside they're using a very geeky non-Newtonian fluid which protects the inner screen from high kinetic impact, such as getting it punched or just having it dropped. They showcased that in the demo session, and that's pretty impressive. It's even sophisticated enough to let you know, the end user, that you have particles caught inside the inner screen. So when you fold it in and keep it in your pocket, you can't guarantee that there won't be any little things that will just get in the way in there. So there are sensors in there that will let you know just for you to start wiping your screen. So they're taking every precautionary measure. I believe that this time around, you know, dropping your phone is not going to green line your inner or outer screens. The probability is probably going to be much lower compared to the last few generations. It's not a guarantee, it's just a lower probability. So don't just drop your phone to make a point. In the demo session, they also wanted to showcase just how strong that hinge is by suspending it with a very heavy dumbbell and some sofas to show like this hinge does not want to crack under pressure or damage the screens from that immense pressure. I mean, yes, it's great. You made a better hinge, you made it so strong, but I just don't see the likelihood of someone trying to do that just to A, prove a point, and two, just wanting to do intentional actions that would cause this phone to get damaged. So it's actually just more for mishaps and accidents, like sitting on your phone when it's unfolded. Yeah, that immense pressure from the weight of your butt. Yeah, I get it, but anything else, not really. You know, I'm not gonna see people hanging onto their phones on a ledge, trying to save their lives. And yeah, so a stronger hinge, Honor, we get it. Thank you for that. I definitely understand that this is gonna be built to last. Moving on to the screens, the real estate is pretty good. 6.43 inches outside, and inside expands that up to 7.95, almost 8 inches. Both are AMOLED panels, LTPO, 120 hertz, and it's fantastic because both the screens have the same level of eye care as Honor's other products. So you'll definitely be getting your 4320 pulse width modulation, high frequency. It doesn't really matter for a lot of people, but if you have sensitive eyes, especially when you want to view content in the dark, of course, you don't want to fill up your whole room with your smartphone's brightness of the screen, so you tend to lower that brightness. And because of that, when it gets into a much lower hertz, and from there, you will start seeing ghosting and flickering on your screen, and that actually strains your eyes. That's not good for you, but Honor has implemented their proprietary high PWM tech with eye care and other forms of circadian related technologies to make sure that you can still enjoy a good viewing experience even in the dark with lower brightness. So in and out of screens, you have nothing to worry about when you want to do things like that. But other than that, using this as an entertainment device, the colors are great on these two AMOLED panels. Obviously, you'll be wanting to watch all your movies, view all your documents and photos using the inner screen, and I wouldn't blame you. That's the whole point of buying this phone. Don't be crazy. I love the colors. The contrast is amazing. Blacks are just exquisitely inky, and I pretty much would do everything and throw anything at it when it comes to viewing content on this phone, and it just looks great. But of course, when it comes to foldables, the one thing that you want to be more concerned about is whether the apps resize properly or not. So when it comes to apps like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, everything just resizes perfectly, and when you fold it and see it from the outer screen, it pretty much resumes the previous session that you did on the inner screen, and that's pretty much how you look. But I cannot tell you every app is like this. Not a lot of apps still have that dynamic adjustment when it comes to aspect ratios from the inner and outer screens. So you gotta experiment if your apps that you personally use are affected by this. But those other generalist apps that I mentioned, they're definitely all in, and Honor's stock apps are pretty much natively optimized to work between a foldable and a non-foldable form factor. So that's pretty much how it looks. I've not seen a lot of people cover this when it comes to, you know, seeing whether apps and how apps look between the full screen of the inner screen and the outer screen. But it's something that it's good to know because buying a phone like this is a very heavy investment. Other aspects of entertainment, you know, whether you're playing games or multitasking a lot, the Snapdragon 8 Elite here, yeah, of course, the expectation comes with the price tag. Obviously, it's able to play your AAA games such as Zenless Zone Zero and Genshin Impact and Wuthering Waves. But surprisingly enough, the time to throttle for this device after like a good half an hour of warming up the device pre-game is really just half an hour. It starts throttling when you're playing at maximum settings, Zenless Zone Zero. But the throttle is not insane, you know. You're still within the 50 to 60 FPS range. It's just that, you know, the Honor Magic V5 does not handle heat too well because of how thin it is, such as the cost of having high performance parts in a thin form factor. Battery life is also a concern for foldable phones, but I wouldn't say that you have to worry too much on the Magic V5. It's got a 5820 milliamp battery. It's a dual battery, so there's two thin pieces that manage to fit itself into this thin form factor, as I've said. And your mileage may vary depending on how frequently you use and rotate between the inner and the outer screen. So based on my internal test, I have a battery life mix. So if you're using on a 12-hour day, 50-50, half the time you're on outer, half the time you're on inner, you pretty much get about 6.5 minutes of screen on time. And if you're more towards the inner screen dominant, so 70% of the time you're using the inner screen to just do everything, and the remaining 30% is on the outer screen for your notifications and light work. That drops it down to about 6 hours. And if you're outer dominant, so you're using the outer screen more than the inner screen, you'll actually get the longest battery life. We're not surprised. It's a little over 7 hours, and that's pretty much good numbers when it comes to a foldable. And charging it back up again is a pretty fast affair. You'll definitely be fully charged back up in under an hour when it's unfolded, and using Honor's provided 66-watt supercharged power brick. And this is for the Malaysian version. I understand that other variants have a higher battery capacity with even faster charging speeds. So this is for the one which is with the 5820 milliamp battery, which comes with the 66-watt supercharged brick. So now we're heading into the foldable specific segment of the Honor Magic V5. So we'll be covering just 3 things: their multitasking, also known as multi-window, the desktop mode, and the level of customization. How it works for the triple screen part is you open up 3 apps that you want to use simultaneously onto your inner screen, and pretty much all that you'll be doing is just rotating between using 2 active windows and 1 passively active window to generate multitask. So let's say you want to view Instagram, YouTube, and Shopee at the same time, you pretty much can do that. But if you're going to be doing work, you want to be on your Zoom call, your email, and reading a PDF because you're referencing something, you can pretty much do that without any complication. The gestures are already there. All you need to do is just swipe up a bit and then flick it to either side of the screen, and that's all you pretty much have to do. So if you're somebody that intends to use this phone for work and do a lot of things using a variety of different windows, yes, the multi-window experience here is pretty solid. 3 apps is really enough, and if that's not enough, you can still add floating windows all over the place. I still feel that people are still trying to wrap their heads just using 2 concurrent apps at once. So having an additional 3rd layer to a dual screen becoming triple screen experience is pretty solid. It's the way forward. You don't have to do any more. Desktop mode is pretty much fun. The Type-C on the Magic V5 supports a USB display out protocol. You can pretty much connect this to a big screen, a portable monitor, or even connect it wirelessly if that's what you like, and enable that desktop mode. So basically you'll be using your phone as a trackpad to move windows around and have a full computer-like experience. But of course, that's not really the best way to do it. What I would normally do is I would connect a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse to my phone and just connect it to a display and have that full desktop experience. And yeah, even though that is more on towards the niche side, I don't see a lot of people using it, but when you do, people like that swear by it because it's really like using a whole computer on its own. Even though 8 inches, almost 8 inches is a lot of screen real estate, I understand if you want to go to 16 or 15.6 inches or even 13 inches for the matter. And customization is a pretty big deal for foldables because you might want to use your inner screen and outer screens a little differently. And how Honor does it is from the home screen settings, you have dual screen layout, which is default a 4:6 layout, which you can enable to choose whether you want your inner screen to display your outer screen as 1 page or 2 separate pages. So basically page 1, which is your main outer screen's first screen, will be shown as a widened version of that into your inner screen. And if you enable dual screen layout, it will show the first 2 pages of your outer screen. So page 1 and page 2 becomes like 1 big page in your screen. And that's pretty much all the customization you're going to get. But what I would like to really see Honor for Magic OS 4 foldables is complete independence of the 2 screens. I would like to have the option of my outer screen being completely different in widgets and placements and all other factors of design compared to my inner screen, which I want to prepare into a whole different set completely. I believe this can be done, and I hope to see that in the next update. Finally, we reached this almost endpoint. Such a long video, guys. This is the cameras. The camera bump is huge on the Magic V5 because we have to justify this really big chunk. We have to justify its thickness. So the main camera has 50 megapixels with an aperture of f1.6. They call it the Falcon camera. The next one is the periscope telephoto, which is about 3 times of zoom, 64 megapixels with an aperture of f2.5, and ultra wide camera, which is 50 megapixels, f2.0. My professional opinion is it's a pretty competent setup of cameras. You got a periscope, a good main camera, and a very nice ultra wide with all very good aperture values, which makes it ideal for taking dark shots and making them look bright naturally instead of just in post. And just like the Magic 7 Pro and the Honor 400 Pro, this has both the Arcord and film simulation filters that are baked into the camera software, and they are just phenomenal. I love taking portrait shots when I'm on an Honor system Just like how I fell in love with the Magic 7 Pro. Arcord sold the phone for them and it made them very, very popular. Motion sensing tech is still here. It's able to take extremely fast moving objects such as people or fan blades spinning and capture the right moment with little to minimal blurs. So let's get hyper specific on image quality. So the main camera shoots absolutely the best. I love the sharpness, I love the colors, and when I'm on portrait mode, it gets a little zoomed in. And if I want to start focusing in on human subjects, the colors just look downright amazing, because I would obviously go for all the Arcord colors, and of course I would love to try the film simulation techniques, and they're all just great. There's just so much emotion and not a lot of over sharpening in post, because I hate that. When I want to take portrait shots, sometimes I would like to have just a little bit of imperfections, a little bit of blurs, or a little bit of lack of detail, because that's how you bake personality into good portrait shots. But here, nothing is over sharpened, because that's the primary concern for me. The colors are great, the contrast is amazing, and nothing looks blown out when it comes to HDR control. The periscope telephoto does a pretty good job as well. Nothing looks over sharpened yet, and the colors follow suit to the main sensor, which means it's going to be pretty consistent in your experience. And yeah, I just can't shut up about how good the sharpness is. It's not about being very, very sharp. It's about having a natural setting when you take these photos. We're not trying to beat a camera, we're just trying to take good photos with some depth and personality to them. Because right now we're living at an age where everybody is trying to make a good camera smartphone, and a lot of people have begun being inspired to becoming storytellers through their images. And the ultra wide takes decent serviceable shots. You'll be using this to take lots of landscapes, lots of buildings, and discovering a lot of wacky perspectives. You have a good amount of detail. The distortion is, I would say, manageable at best. Contrast still remains good. HDR still remains as good. Nothing feels too aggressive in any respect here. And I would tell you right now, you'll be having a lot of fun taking portraits and going into street photography with the Magic V5. If you had a lot of fun on the Magic 7 Pro, Magic 6 Pro, or any of the other Magic series, this is a great experience. I had a pretty decent time on the V3, but during that time, I still felt like the camera system was still not there yet. But now, with these improvements and this competent set of cameras, I can confidently say that it's a pretty good camera system. But is it going to be the best? I wouldn't say for sure, but I would say that this would be at least an easy top 3 or even top 2. This is pretty much a very good contender of a foldable that takes good camera photos. So that's pretty much all I have to say about the Honor Magic V5. It's a really good generalist foldable phone. I would love to see those software improvements for customization. In fact, I would like to see some aesthetic changes as well. Magic OS is pretty good in terms of using AI. Interpreter mode is good, Magic Portal is good, Magic Capsule, but you know, I would like to see aesthetic changes, because I really feel like Honor makes really good, well-designed smartphones, but the digital aesthetics such as the logos and the themes just don't match with the phone. Maybe it's just me, but maybe I just have a different eye for detail and design when it comes to these things. But if you feel the same way or you disagree, you're free to comment it in the comments. But yeah, 6,999 ringgit. Same price as last year's phone. Very good hardware upgrades all around, and they've paid attention to improving the multitasking and multi-window experience. 3 split screens is a pretty big deal. A lot of people would really enjoy it. I enjoyed it, personally speaking. I just really love the design, because everything just feels so in place. Everything just looks so extremely premium. The buttons are great to press. Somebody who wants to look for an all-rounder that can do everything in between for both entertainment and staying productive at work. You will get to enjoy this big screen viewing all your content and videos. You get to play some games in between without much worry. And you have a really good set of cameras, like seriously, with one of the best representation of color science that I get to see baked into a smartphone camera software. And that's it for my review. This has been the Honor Magic V5, and I hope I've helped build a case for you whether this is the right foldable for you or not. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. I really need it. I'm Zen the Geek. I'll see you guys in the next video.